I'm going to walk you through a quick overview of the All in Learning platform and how it can help your school on a daily basis with daily data, immediate feedback, great tools for student intervention and student engagement. So I've logged into my cloud account and I'm going to go to the Lessons tab here, Lessons and Assessments. Now I'm going to activate a lesson using the clickers. And I'm select my roster, and it's going to bring up our presentation. So our presentation is a web-based PowerPoint. That's the back end of our solution. It's what drives our presentations and slides, if you will, is a web-based PowerPoint that we have. And so All in Learning has built a solution for growing student success daily. So this is just a quick overview. This is a cloud-based solution, and if you're familiar with the term, most folks are around having a daily progress monitor. So the ability for me to know at any given time where my students are on a certain subject, a certain concept, a certain standard, Common Core, state level, etc. We work with existing tools like PowerPoint and ExamView. Those can be loaded into the cloud. And then we have tools for 100% student participation, immediate feedback to the teacher, and student engagement. So now every kid gets a chance to participate. We also, for longer multiple choice assessments, can score a test in class. It's instant. It's immediate feedback for the teacher, optional, immediate feedback to the student. We work with most existing document cameras. We have our own document camera that we ship to a school for $35. We have a teacher app that lets a teacher score it as well, alternately with their own iPhone or iPad. We don't lock you into multiple choice questions only, but teachers can score rubrics. They can score constructed response questions, essay questions, do that on a sliding scale. They can weight the test appropriately, but anytime we're collecting data with All in Learning from any of these assessment strategies and types, it's all going to wind up in the cloud. So I've got the ability to look at that day's results. I can look at multiple days. We can look at multiple weeks over time. We can look at our class. We can look at larger groups of students as well. The teacher gets quick access to a set of reports that are easy for me to read, easy to intervene. It's easy to find out the student's strengths and weaknesses, what I need to reteach on as a teacher. And then if the school is doing data teams or professional learning communities, PLCs, we get great reports. On top of the quick data collection, we get great reports on going right back to those data teams and PLCs. So that's just a quick overview of the cloud and our platform. And so it's based on, the platform itself is based on a lot of the research that's out there. The formative assessment for learning work by Black and Willems and Stiggins and Marzano, this in-the-moment assessment strategy. I've talked about something for 5 or 10 minutes and I want to get immediate feedback. DeFore's work on data teams and PLCs, and then Bambrick, who's written some really nice, has some great research on, his book is called Driven by Data, and it's on data-driven instruction and some of the keys for success to getting schools oriented around data. And our platform really supports that nicely. So an in-the-moment assessment strategy is at any time I can ask a question. So I'm going to quickly just click on the ad hoc question here, and it's going to bring up the toolbar. So this just lets me formulate a question here on the fly. I don't have to have anything prepared. So when I ask the students, which of the following capital cities is at the highest elevation? Is it A, Austin, B, Little Rock, C, Santa Fe, or D, Denver? I'm able to get feedback from all of my class. Students can change their mind. They can enter their answer again and confirm their answer. So I've gotten the 4 students to respond. I get immediate feedback that says 1 student answered C, 3 answered D. Then I click on the correct answer. So the correct answer was C, Santa Fe. And usually I'll ask people what's the nickname for Denver. It's the Mile High City. And then I'll say, well, how many feet are in a mile? And someone in the class usually knows it's 5,280, and Santa Fe is over 7,000 feet in elevation. So there's our correct answer. Then I'll say, well, 25% of the class got it right. If this were your class, would you stop and reteach it? And most people say that they would. So we can prepare questions in advance. Okay, so we have some limited items in an item bank in the cloud. Math and science, 4th and 8th grade. We've got some content partners coming in, so teachers can select questions from an item bank in the cloud. They can write their own. This is an example of one of the international math questions that we have a license to. This is a question that I wrote in advance in our PowerPoint format. And so I want to ask my class, who is the principal author of the Constitution? So in this scenario, I'm going to start the question. And again, we're going to get feedback from all of our students. And hopefully we'll do better than we did on the 25% on the last question. So we have George Washington, John Adams, Thomas Jefferson, James Madison, or E. James Monroe. So when I end that question, we see half of us got it right, half of us got it wrong. So teachers tell us that they call on the same 5 to 7 students to answer a question. They may be smarter, more confident. They won't be embarrassed if they miss the question. So with All In Learning and our strategy around the clickers, we get immediate feedback from all students, not just from the brightest students or the most outgoing students, but every student gets a chance to participate. And so when I close this here, and if I called on a student that got it right, I'll say, great job, Sally. I'm glad you got that right. Does everybody else understand that? Most of the times the kids will shake their heads, yes, we got it. Are there any questions? No. But half the class missed it because I knew that because I could ask everybody. So we got immediate feedback, and I know to reteach that. So we use our radio frequency clickers, which are battery free. These are just simple multiple choice devices. So we're not trying to write an essay or type in a calculus question. We're just trying to get immediate feedback from our students. It's quick. It's meant to be a rapid formative assessment strategy. And we have both radio frequency and infrared, and the expensive set of clickers is a radio frequency, and those start at $295 for a class set of 26. Now you need the cloud before you have that, but that just shows you it's a very economical solution. It gives us daily data strategies with our students. So I'm going to close this session, and when we do that, the data is immediately posted into my reports in the cloud. It's not isolated on my computer, but it's immediately in the cloud. Another strategy that we can do is I can fire up my document camera, and what this is going to do is I can pose questions from this, so we can put underneath the existing document camera or our document camera a worksheet, a textbook, a workbook, and so I'm going to say math quiz or math worksheet 11. I select my roster, and so now I'm able to make this interactive. So I'm just going to start this question here and have everybody answer question 1. And so I'm going to have the students answer this question, and I'll click on the correct answer, and I've gotten immediate feedback with zero prep. And so I'm that just shows you another simple way that you can use the clickers. And if I wanted to, so when I go into my reports, and here's my math worksheet 11, I can see the kids. I can also, what I can do is add a standard after the fact. So if I wanted to add a standard, we have the state standards and the Common Core standards uploaded into the cloud, so that when a school comes online, we've got that in and ready to go, and so that I can attach that standard after the fact. That's one of the great things about the cloud. So now we're gonna move into a scenario where I've given the students a 40 question test, and we're gonna collect and score that with our bubble sheets. And so I'm going to activate this chapter 17 test here, and I'm gonna use the scan the bubble sheet option, all right? And I'm gonna select my roster. And so what this will do is there I am, sorry you had to see me there. This will set up, we've got a grading station now in our classroom. This is the teacher interface. And when I put the student bubble sheet underneath the document camera, I've got Troy Aikman's bubble sheet there. He's just gonna, it's easy to show him because he's gonna appear at the top. When I put his bubble sheet under there, you see we instantly score it. I've gotten, say we just graded 40 questions. Troy had a 68 on the test, and that's always the first question the kids have when they complete a test is what I get or what was my score. And I can not only do that, not only show them their score, but I can click in and tell them which questions they missed, so they can go back to their desk now and work on questions 1, 2, and 4, and 9 and 10, and 14 through 18, for example. So Troy's got immediate self-evaluation, immediate reflection in the same class period when he did the assessment. So I'm going to put the student bubble sheets under here, so as soon as I drop those under there, it's grading them. You'll notice when I do Ryan's, his came up pink. He's got a 1 there. If you look at question 1, it just means one question that we couldn't grade. It happens to be question 1. He answered it 3 times. So when I click in there, it tells me there's a problem with this question. I click on the correct answer and I solve that. I've corrected that problem. I've got Barbara's answer sheet here, and if you'll look here, I've actually printed up her bubble sheet and put it into one of the sheet protectors. You can see I actually got this one from Office Depot, and so I can reuse this. A lot of schools will laminate the bubble sheets, so these will be bubbled in with a vis-a-vis or expo marker. So it's a green strategy. It's a cost-saving strategy as well. So Tony is absent today, so I'm not going to collect his results, but I do want to end the session and post the results to the reporting area. And so I need to look at this, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a whole class intervention now. So I can see here was the test that we just did. So when I click here, all right, and again, this is what the teacher sees, but I'm going to just go real quickly to click on this column here. And so I see my most missed questions. All right, so I see that upwards of 80% of our students missed questions 14, 16, 17, and 18. So I'm going to reteach those while that information is still fresh, while the kids, it's not 3 days later, this is 3 minutes after they've completed the test. We can stop, we can reteach, and we can intervene accordingly. I'm going to just to show you another report where I've got a little bit better data in it here. So this is my heat map, okay? So what a lot of folks refer to as a heat map, and the redder it gets, the hotter it is, the more problems that we have, and so we're addressing those problems as quickly as possible. The item analysis, I can see on question 2, a bunch of the students, about a third of the students missed it. So I just sort on this column here, just click on it a couple times, and it shows me, well, it's kind of interesting, of all the students that missed that question, most of them answered E. So I know that there's something about that distractor that threw us off. I go to the standards analysis. It's going to show us by the class performance on each of the standards. So we get the standard, the score, the frequency, how many questions were on each of that. So I know how the test was weighted, and I see that we've got a problem here on this question, and it was the highest frequency count on the test as well. So when I click on the student standards analysis by student, I can sort these columns and I can see the kids that need help on this standard and this standard. But really what I'm after here, since a third of the class really struggled on this, is that I've got instant access to who needs help and where. So these are the kids that need help on this standard, and you know, a high percentage of the class missed at least one question on this standard. And so if you look at Yancey here, the good news is that Yancey aced these two standards and struggled on this one. So I know exactly where to intervene with Yancey, and also know exactly where not to intervene. So we're not going to spend time reviewing something that Yancey already understands. So that's just a quick look at a report. Again, we're trying to give you instant access. We saved a lot of time grading, but now we've got an easy set of reports to look at that's going to drive my intervention, and it's going to drive my reteach. Now the next example here is in our PLC, our professional learning community, our data team. Here's a test that all three of my PLC members agreed to give to our students together, and we're looking at the results together. So we can see the score by class, okay? We can look at our standards analysis. So we see we aced this standard right here. We did really well on this one. We have a little bit of room for improvement, but this is one where we need to concentrate our efforts. And so when we go to the item analysis, it's going to show us on a question-by-question basis how the class has performed. And again, this is meant to drive at best practices. And when I see that my class struggled in this question, and the other two classes did pretty well on it, I know that I can lean on those teachers to say, how did you teach this? What examples did you use, etc. And then on the student analysis, again, here's our heat map. So across all of the classes, these are the kids that need help, and we don't stop there, okay? So we will give you that same heat map concept across each of the standards as well. So these are the students that needed help, and even though you can see some of these kids probably had a pretty good grade, the student here probably had an 82 on the test, but Matthew needs help on this standard. And Troy needs help on this standard, but you can see that he aced these other two here. So we can sort these and look at and quickly see the students that need help in each of these categories. And this up here, this was a report that was a request of one of our users. They said that they'll take this data here, and the teacher whose class had the highest score will do the reteach for these kids here. So this was my class, and my class had a 59 on this standard. Mr. Henley's class had a 93, so he's going to reteach that. On this second standard here, Miss Jager's class had a 97, 98 actually, so she's going to do the reteach on those kids there. And then on this standard here, we had a lot of kids miss at least one or two questions. Actually, I'm going to do the reteach on that one. So this is it's immediate, it's intelligent and informed reteach and intervention, and lets us regroup our kids and group and regroup our kids accordingly based on performance by standard. I didn't spend all weekend to get at this data. We got at it very quickly with the ease of scoring. We could have done this. This could be a clicker test. We could collect the data with the clickers, with the bubble sheets, and we could have even graded if it was constructor response or rubric. Again, we're going to have all the data is going to wind up right here, regardless of how we collected it. So there's a lot more that the program does. I'm going to log out and come in just real quickly as a principal, because there's a great set of principal reports, and this is just going to pull up here our the principal dashboard. So when the principal logs in, I can see which teachers have logged in. I can see who's done, which principals have done not principals, the students that have, teachers, my bad, the teachers that have what they've done in the cloud. And so I get access to who's using it and how they've used it. Principals, a lot of times when they bought technology, they've never known how it was used or if it was used at all. And so the principal can log in and look at the different reports, and I can see the scores across my classes on these assessments. So these are going to be very similar to the PLC type reports. So that's that's a principal dashboard there. And so I'm gonna log out of that, and just to bring up and show you the pricing here just real quick, and then we'll be and so the pricing on the pricing is done on a per teacher basis. So how many teachers at a campus do we want to use this? This is an annual pricing. How many teachers do we want to roll this out at a campus? So this lets a school kind of dip their toes in the water accordingly. And so as they're looking at strategies, as they're looking at ways to roll this out, we give them tools to do that in a way that's conducive to their strategies and not having to roll it out campus-wide if they don't want to. And then the pricing on the clickers, the infrared clickers are, these longer ones. They've got the batteries in them. They are 145 and 195. You do have to point and click those like you would a normal remote. And then the radio frequency clickers, you don't have to point and click. And the innovation there is they don't have batteries. They're rechargeable. So they're green devices, and they're very low cost. We've got product training and our document camera here. All of these there's shipping is not included in the pricing, so shipping is an add-on, but the pricing is still very low and very affordable. So schools can take a campus-wide strategy with All-in Learning, and it can be very affordable to roll out and have a very meaningful impact as we're collecting daily data. We're getting immediate feedback to the teachers, and we're not waiting 6 or 8 weeks for the district to tell us we're struggling on something. Our team can know and already respond and make in-course corrections with All-in Learning. Do that in an easy fashion, and as our users have said time and time again, it's a very simple product to use, and it saves teachers a ton of time. So they get their nights back, they get their weekends back in the process. So that's a real quick overview of All-in Learning, and thank you for sitting in on the presentation.